Alright, next racing fans. So in today's video, as you see by the title, we are going to be going over the intake manifold on the 4G63 drag car, which I have the manifold right behind me. We had multiple choices to choose from. We had Magnus, we had Pro J, we have JMF, and then we got a couple other brands that are overseas brands, people that they sell intake manifolds as well. So let's go ahead and get right into it to see what I picked. So as you guys can see, I picked the JMF Billet drag manifold, meant for big power. That's what we're looking for, big power. Need something that's going to be able to support the big power. So we're going to go ahead and get that going. You can hear the dog over here eating his food. But so what we went ahead and did was, on the next manifold, not this one, we're going to go ahead and do a dual rail. But for this one, we're just going to do a single rail for now. I got the rail over here, also JMF as well. So it's going to be a black anodized JMF billet fuel rail. So that's what we're going to be running. I think the contrast of this fuel rail and that throttle body goes perfect with it. So, and then as you guys can see, there is a throttle body on here. This is going to be a Ross Machine Racing throttle body. It is a, you can kind of see in there, it is a 90mm throttle body, which has a 3.5-inch Vangean HD connection here. So we're going to have that there. And then as you guys can see here as well, we are going to be running a Ford TPS. So a Ford throttle position sensor. I already have it hooked up here to work with the Haltech harness. That was the easiest way to do it, was use the Ford one. And the throttle body and the intake manifold, also this connection here is a Ford 5.0 connection in terms of the throttle body bolt pattern. As you guys can see here, it's got these O-rings already in there. I really love this throttle body. I think it looks amazing on there. See, you guys get a little peek in the inside. I'm going to go ahead and get it turned around so you guys can see. If I can get this set up here, 1 second. Then as you can see here, we have our ports there, and we have our bolts and little connections that we have there as well. Again, I'm in love with this manifold. Cannot wait to get the second one. I probably will do a anodize it black. Let's clean this off real quick. Got fingerprints all over it. So probably we'll do the next one, anodize it black. That way it matches with the throttle body, matches with the fuel rail. But as you guys can see, it looks amazing. So the only issue I did have, not with the intake manifold itself, but with the throttle body, is that, let's go ahead and get this turned this way. It did come with bolts to bolt the throttle body to the intake. JMF supplies these short ones right here. Unfortunately, they weren't long enough. And then the Ross Machine Racing supplied these longer ones, which were unfortunately too long. So I went ahead and went to Home Depot, figured out the size, and we went ahead and bought some black ones. So as you can kind of see in there, they're black, and it kind of just goes with it. Make sure, you know, it's all one color. I think it looks amazing in there. I cannot wait to get this on the motor, see how it looks. Obviously, we got a little bit of time before that happens. Got a lot more stuff to come in and get in. We're waiting on a couple more parts to come in. Hopefully they get here soon. But that's what we picked. Like again, I said we had options here. We had Pro J, which is a reputable company. They make billet manifolds for the 4G and a lot of other platforms. JMF, which is more specific to the DSM world, and we had Magnus, also a little bit more specific to the DMS world, and then we had another option. I believe their name is Pro Billet, which they're overseas. They make billet manifolds as well. I did my research in terms of which one to pick. So for JMF, they actually supply flow rates for their manifolds, which is, you know, helps out in determining which manifold you want to get for your car, because, you know, if they got the flow rates, that means they put it to the work, they tested it out to make sure that it works. So ProJ, another reputable company, they build a manifold that's somewhat like this one. I don't want to say it's exactly the same, but it's almost the same. The only difference is they do have a burst panel on theirs. So right about here on some of them are back here, and some of them are on the other side, and actually some of them are even on the back here, depending on which manifold you pick. They have a burst panel, so if your manifold is over pressurized, instead of blowing any type of this obviously doesn't have any wells, but not blowing the bolts off or blowing the manifold into pieces, has a burst panel which will burst before it'll mess up the intake manifold. That way you kind of save your manifold from breaking. So we're gonna ProJ, and then Magnus obviously has their cast machine intake manifold, and so I was looking at that one, and for almost the same price as a cast manifold from Magnus, I can get a billet manifold from JMF. And so ProJ was roughly around, I think it was like $1,500 to $1,600 for the manifold, so it was $500 to $600 more than the JMF. So money's tight nowadays with the COVID and the pandemic going on. Money's tight, so we went ahead and went with the JMF manifold. So we went with, guys. And so also in terms of the throttle body, we went with a Ross Machine Racing throttle body. If you haven't heard of them, Ross is really well known in the racing industry. It was either between Ross or a I believe it was S90 throttle body, which you hear good reviews about them, you hear bad reviews. It's a mixture of both. With this throttle body, all I've heard is positive reviews. No kind of vacuum leak, boost leak, anything like that. Everything is built specific, you know what I mean? So it's built to work, and it's built right. So that's what I'm trying to say. It's built right, and it's built right the first time, and they test them out to make sure that nothing's wrong with them. They double check everything before they send it out. And if I am not mistaken, this is also made in the US. So I know the S90 is made overseas. So you got throttle body made in the US. We got the intake manifold made in the US. So you can see right there, made in the USA. So well, that's what we're going with, guys. Any questions, comments, concerns? I cannot wait. I have another project going on in the garage. I have started building the second oil pan. So I'm building another oil pan. This actually oil pan is going to be a 6-bolt oil pan, which is going to be the same design as the first oil pan I built for myself, but this oil pan will have a little bit of baffling in there to kind of help with the sloshing of the oil and help keep the oil towards the pickup tube. So this one's going to be a 6-bolt oil pan. Once I get it done, I'll go ahead and do an oil test, make sure everything's good, nothing leaks, and then I will be posting that for sale. So that will be for sale. And then once I'm done with that one, I'm going to go ahead and build 2 at a time. I'm going to build a 6-bolt and a 7-bolt at the same time. I'm building them a little bit different. This one here is going to be exactly the same as mine, except for a little bit more baffling inside. The next one I built, I'm going to remove 1 inch from the bottom of the pan. That way the pickup tube is even closer to the bottom of the pan. That way you're making sure that you have oil in the pickup tube at all times. All right, guys, so I'll keep you guys up to date. Make sure you like the channel, subscribe, go ahead and follow. Leave a comment below. What do you think about the intake manifold? You guys have any questions on the build? Any concerns, comments? Go ahead and leave them below. I'd be glad to, answer any questions, comments, concerns. As you guys can see on my page, anytime somebody leaves a comment or a question, I will always respond to that. So I appreciate you guys watching the video, and if you guys made it this far, I appreciate you guys the most. And remember, stay tuned. We're next racing.